Warm greetings to you from wherever you're watching us from this morning. It feels good to be here. I'm Yemi Adebayo.
And I'm Cecilia Omorogbe, and we're starting from England, where Chelsea were able to get a nervy win over the team that has been relegated, talking about Norwich City. It was Olivier Giroud, a header, that gave them that boost for a top 4 finish. So right now, Chelsea solidify their third spot in the UEFA Champions League spot.
All right, so the chase for the place in the UEFA Champions League continues, and Chelsea doing themselves a whole lot of good yesterday with that victory over Norwich. All right, let's talk about the financial fair play rules breach saga. Everybody has been talking about it. CAS has decided to do what they've done, and reactions continue to trail. Surprise, surprise. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola insists that his team deserves an apology. What exactly is he saying? You need to stay tuned to understand what Pep is saying this morning. Say, look, a lot of things has been said, but the conclusion of the matter, City deserves an apology.
That's what he's saying this morning. And also, Jose Mourinho on his part says that decision by CAS to overturn the 2-year ban on Manchester City is actually a disgrace.
Oh, it's going to be interesting on the show this morning. Jose Mourinho says it's a disgrace. Pep Guardiola says we deserve an apology. It's going to be interesting. But that's not how we start off the show today. We start with golf, and we want to talk about the name that is synonymous with golf most times when you hear that name. Tiger Woods is who we want to talk about this morning, the Memorial Tournament in Dublin. The Tiger is roaring, but of course in dead silence because the fans not there to enjoy what's going on. And he says he feels it feels strange. You know, over 20 years of his career has been used to having the large crowds,
Yes.
the paparazzi, cameras, everybody all around, the noise. They help him when he's in a desperate situation. Sometimes they help to calm him down. But yeah, here he's adjusting to the new normal.
He is adjusting to the new normal. And while other players were trying to play some exhibition golf, you know, train and all that, he didn't really do much of it. He was a bit silent apart from, you know, the exhibition match that he played with the likes of Peyton Manning and also Tom Brady, where they had to come together, you know, to raise money for
Families affected
by COVID-19. But then for him right now, he's chasing a record. Remember the tournament he will be participating in, that's the Memorial Tournament. He has won it 5 times. So he said this week he wants to break a record. But that's not what he's talking about this morning. What he's talking about this morning is the fact that he needs to get adjusted to the new normal, because when he was watching from home and he saw that golfers would just come, you know, no handshake, no embrace and all that, and the people around them are really not there. And for him, he's not alone now. Whenever he's on, you know, on the golf course, he has so many people around him, and he always wants to see those people around him watch him play golf and also enjoy, you know, the things that comes with playing with fans. But then the Memorial this week will be without fans. So that's the reason Tiger Woods is talking about it. No one there. So that's what they will be facing today. Not rather this week, you know, when the Memorial Championship begins in Dublin, in Ohio, in the USA, without fans, of course.
Yeah, it's going to be strange. You talked about all the things that is associated with golf, all the things that makes golf, and those elements will be missing. And Tiger is trying to wrap his head around how he's going to play golf and not do all of those things because he doesn't want to flout the social distancing rules. So
but it's new normal. He needs to get used to it.
Yeah, he has to. He has to. And his job is a lot easier compared to some other sports. For golfers, I think they can easily follow those rules. Though some elements will be missing, but at least they can.
You make a putt and your caddy, you can't even hug him. Okay, I don't know how easy that is going to be. It's going to be obviously difficult.
Yeah,
all right, let's move away from the golf course. Tennis court in Germany, the exhibition game is still ongoing. And Dominic Thiem and Petra Kvitova are the ones that are dominating the sport. But then let's start with how Dominic Thiem is easily. Okay, we'll start with Petra Kvitova.
Petra,
his exhibition game against Kiki Bertens. And we said, of course, she's been on tour for a while because she's been playing. And that's why she's just beating everyone. Straight set again in this one.
Yeah, good victory for her. Of course, we talked about it yesterday, being the first sports event in Germany to welcome fans. And two-time champion didn't really disappoint us. She will face Elina Svitolina in the final, but it was a good performance for Petra after that victory over Bertens, like we said, 6-3, 6-2. I mean, she made it look really easy. I don't know whether I should agree with you and attribute it to the fact that she's been on court probably a little bit longer than some of the others because she's had some tune-ups and she's probably adjusted to the new normal more than the others. I don't know. Maybe we should attribute it to that, but she's doing well here.
She's doing so well here. 6-3, 6-2. It's ended, and of course, this is a tournament that is supposed to welcome fans, back to court, since Germany actually opened our sporting facilities. So she did so well, 6-3, 6-2, and up next for her is the lady Elina Svitolina. That's the person she will be meeting in the final. Of course, for Elina Svitolina, she also won in 2 straight sets. But then she had to, the first set had to go into tie break before she was able to beat Sevastova 7-6, 6-3.
Yeah, like you said, it was close. But she did what she had to do. Now she's up against Petra in the final. Her own semi was a bit tougher than the other one that was just a one-sided semi. So the final lineup, we already know. So it's going to be Petra from the Czech Republic up against Svitolina, Ukraine's Svitolina. So we'll see where that one goes for the ladies. Okay, so that's it for the ladies. Let's switch gears and talk about the guys. And let's quickly talk about Dominic Thiem that Cecilia wanted to talk about. Up against a teenager, and it didn't make it. It was tough in the second set, but at least the first set was 6-3. Second set 7-6, and dispatched his opponent. Thiem is trying to put his head down.
Since the incident of Djokovic.
But he did what he needed to do here.
Yeah.
Before he came to this tournament, he's been saying, look, the backlash is too much. What have I done?
We made a mistake.
Guys, tone it down. But he came here, he played good game.
Yeah, he played a good game, and of course the fans are surely enjoying what he did, especially when he came from, that particular, at a point it was 6-6, and we're thinking what's happening to Dominic Thiem here. Just maybe the 18-year-old teenager will be able, talking about Jannik Sinner, will be able to maybe overturn it. But somehow Dominic Thiem, as we talked about, Petra Kvitova has been on court for a while. They played some games, and she has also won, at least a trophy since tennis returned, to court. She was on good form. Same thing with Dominic Thiem also, because he was in, the Djokovic events that he organized, the 2, different legs that he organized before, of course, COVID. Players tested positive for COVID-19, and it has to be stopped, and even Djokovic himself. But then he tested, he was clear. His was negative, tested twice negative. But then he still has the energy to be able to take this guy, even in that final set that was so difficult. He had to bounce back when it was a tiebreak, and then had to collect it at 7-6, and that's how he went there, just straining up the aces and some ground strokes there. A tough one, rather. Yeah. But then at the end of the day, the experience.
Counted for. But I can say that we're going to see a lot from Jannik Sinner later on. We're going to see. He's just 18. He's already doing this. Then we're going to see. Let's talk about the guy who
is facing in the final.
Who's going to face in the final? Who might be able to step up to the plate and revenge for his fellow Italian that was beaten, Matteo Berrettini. Defeated Roberto Bautista Agut, but their own semi was a lot tougher. Lot tougher. As a matter of fact, he lost the first set. 4-6 to Bautista Agut, but he came back second set. But the third one, nobody was letting up, and he had to drag out a little. By the end of the day, Matteo did what he had to do.
And he had to do that because he knows that the person waiting in the other half happens to be someone that they've met for a long time. But then usually Berrettini is one player that you look at, you really can't predict what he's going to bring on court. But this time around, he was able to overcome the guy that we feel might just think was supposed to give him a very, very tough time. But somehow he bounced back and he was able to win. And of course, he will be facing Dominic Thiem in the final of the Germany exhibition again. And the fans surely enjoyed every bit of this one.
Yeah, if you're a tennis fan, you would love to be in Berlin right now to catch a glimpse of what's going on, to see things like this. Fans have been starved of moments like this. Although, let's not be mistaken, there's still COVID, but in Europe, they're gradually using sports to get back to normal. And hopefully, maybe through an act of God or something, or a miracle of some sort, we'll get something that will help us push COVID-19 aside and so that sports can return fully, because all of this is
The way we
gradual.
know it.
The way it used to be.
The way it used to be. And of course, with fans and of course, more people actually coming into the stadium and more sporting activities also. We're still waiting to see if the Grand Slams are still going to hold the US Open, the French Open. They're coming. All right, let's move away from tennis and talk about athletics. Some athletes are actually doing different things at this period to ensure that they, keep in touch with what is happening around the world. And one athlete we'll be talking about this morning is a gold medalist, talking about Ashton 18. This guy have actually won a gold medal in decathlon. That's a sport that when you see people actually running that, you'll be wondering, why would he want to take up this sport? But then today he's not really talking about his sport alone, but what he has been doing.
Yeah.
How do you transit, or rather, you are a sportsman, but then you turn to science and engineering, because you're looking at your post-athletic career and what you really want to do to help people. So he's actually studying for a second degree in mechanical engineering. Part of the project US to actually see how he can, help in bringing technology into the sports.
It's interesting how two sports and the things that he's doing are looks like two parallel lines. Energies up in time consuming, and he's finding a way to make both worlds meet. And what interests me about Ethan is he's saying, look, I want to see how we can use technology to help these athletes, get beyond, break boundaries, push themselves beyond their limits and do more, because your athletic career is short.
Very short.
So what he's saying is, look, I want to see what we can do now that I have time on my hands with science and all that, what we can do to ensure that these performances that you're seeing, we can push it a little bit further with the help of science.
Yeah, how they'll be able to do that. But then he's talking about that this morning and the reason why he had to go into that.
My wife and I, we moved to San Francisco, joined a software startup. That was really cool. But ultimately decided I wanted to learn the fundamentals of science and engineering to ultimately be able to work on probably the design and build of things like sustainable energy, space exploration, just be on some of those teams. And as I was in school, got invited to Intel for Olympic Day. They brought myself, Simone Biles, and a couple other athletes to come talk. Met some people from the team there who were working on the project that I'm working on now. They asked if I'd like to join the project, and I just saw it as an awesome opportunity to kind of mix what I knew with my kind of passion for learning about science and tech. As I went on in my career, I realized the things that were helping me improve in sport, if we just talk about sport specifically, were my personal kind of training, which is what it is. But also people had to make things that I had to use, whether it be shoes, clothing, football poles, or whatever. And I was like, the people who make those kinds of things are pretty awesome because without them, not only would I not be where I am in sport, but in large part, you look at the computers, the cars, whatever, society in general is just not around without folks who make and do things. The thing that actually gave me the most satisfaction or helped me be okay with being done was breaking the world record. I loved going to the Olympics and winning medals. But for me, increasing the points was always the motivation. That's why I love the decathlon. That's why I love track and field. It's so measurable. And if progress is your goal, you know where you stand. And so whenever I increased that point total, even if it was just by a point, I was always kind of yes, that's what I wanted to do.
And that's how he sets the world record in 2015, a record of 9,044 5, and it was actually broken by Kevin Mayer. In addition to the Olympic gold medals, that's in addition to the Olympic gold medals he won in London and in Rio. So this is a big guy. And what he has actually done, the technology is already being used to actually help athletes, you know, those that couldn't train all through the period of COVID and other, returning to training.
Yeah.
They've been using that technology to help them get back into fitness and training.
Yeah, it's good. All of those things that normally will be gaps. It's trying to see, okay,
Yeah.
I'm involved in this
With the
field, I'm
postponement
involved in
of the
this as
Olympics
well.
and all.
Let's bridge the gap. And I'm very happy for him. It's always good when I see people who are thinking about their post-sports career. And he's doing that. And it looks to me like eating is still going to be in the sports, because if somebody like this
Yes,
makes
yeah.
the transition, he's going to be able to either help athletes prolong their career, either help them enhance their performances, or help them cope with issues that are associated with being part of the sport. And I think it's a good one.
I mean, when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, now the project's supposed to, you know, using technology to show athletes the difference between how they think and how their body reacts. Okay. What's that all about? It's all about technology anyway. Okay, tech, that's what it's all about. Now let's move away from that and talk about this one. You know, just yesterday morning, we got the news that was a sports journalist. I can't believe I'm using words for Henrietta Okaigwe. Also a member of the Nigerian Women's Football League board. She's a member of the board. You know, she was one of those ladies that actually pioneer, you know, women's football. She had this foundation that was set up, you know,
Yeah.
female football interest group, where, you know, they had to ensure that they organized tournaments for, you know, women who couldn't play, for girls who couldn't play football, and all that, even spending their own money, you know, tournaments and everything. But we heard the news that she passed away on Tuesday morning after she was in hospital for 1 week, but she couldn't survive it after a brief illness. And Nigerian Football Federation and, of course,
Tributes.
Nigerian Women Football League.
All over.
All of them, tributes from everywhere, even from the different, you know, league across Nigeria, both the men's league and the women's league, all of them paying tribute to her for her contribution to the game, developing the game. NFF, you know, in their press release, you know, they describe her as one person that will really be missed in the world of sports. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else to add. I mean, it shows the role she's played, the influence she's had. I particularly had fond memories, you know, listening to her. I know the part about her. I've been an advocate for women's football, the things I see her come to talk about on TV and all that, and I work as you know, as somebody who loves the game, as a journalist and all that, and it's a big blow, not just for women's football, in general. Hopefully, God will grant the family the fortitude to bear the loss, because it's huge. Words escape me, you know, right now to really convey what I want to say, but I do hope that God will be with the family. All right, we need to pause and go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, there's still a lot to talk about on the show. John again. All right, welcome back. Well, let me just quickly bring you into all that we're doing on the show to set the tone. There's a lot we want to talk about. Of course, the issues about financial fair play that everybody is still talking about. A lot of reactions on the show this morning. So to allow you participate and be part of the show, that's what you can do right there. Send us a tweet at channels_sports. That's how you can be a part of the show. You can let your views be heard across the globe. You can also send us a mail, sportsthismorning@channelstv.com. That's how you can get across to us. Trust me, it's going to be very, very interesting. All right, let's introduce our guest on the show, Emmanuel Awanadong, sports writer, a guy that wears a cap that has many feathers. But let me stick with sports writer just for today. But it's good to have you on the show, Emmanuel.
Thank you very much.
All right, where do we go from here, Cecilia?
Yeah, let's quickly talk about what happened last night. Chelsea, they needed to actually, you know, maintain that third spot, and they knew what to do. All they had to do was get a goal and try as much as possible and sit back,
Lock shop,
and protect the goal with your life. You know, that's what they did. Olivier Giroud was the one who got them that goal at the nick of halftime. I mean, it was 47 minutes. You know, just a few seconds before, you know, the halftime break, and of course, they beat Norwich City by a lone goal. And for Chelsea now, so it's a good way to start. So Manchester United and Leicester will have to play catch-up for now, unlike the way it was before when they lost, the scandalous loss at the weekend was a big blow. But right now, they've been able to rectify that. And, of course, Olivier Giroud was the one who gave them that goal. What do you make of the game? I mean, it was a bit boring for me at the
Yeah,
point. I
It
it
was
like-
boring.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
was boring.
It's
Okay,
like
I'm not
a rout-
alone.
It's like what they call a routine win.
Okay,
It's the
routine.
kind of win you should win. It shouldn't be that much of
A
shouldn't
big
be
deal.
that much of a big deal for them.
Okay.
And they did it considerably easily. Norwich are relegated. They don't have anything to play for, and I think you could notice it in the players yesterday. It just seemed like they were going through the motions. Norwich, they didn't really present any serious threat.
Challenge.
Chelsea should have won by more, and I think they
Yeah.
may regret that because goal difference may come into play. Yeah, so they should have got more goals, but they needed 3 points. They got 3 points.
You're thinking Chelsea, they're likely to drop more points?
No, in terms of goal difference,
No, I'm just saying, you're thinking,
Yeah,
because
they-
right now, no, we understand, I understand what you're saying. Like, are they going to drop more
Oh,
points?
okay. If they keep on winning, it wouldn't matter.
That's
Okay,
what
yeah,
I'm
that's
saying. They
that's
keep
a
on
hard
winning,
one.
it won't matter.
Yeah, but I don't trust Chelsea.
Chelsea, that's the point.
I don't trust Chelsea to not because their defense is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so shaky.
And I
So
think they're still coming up against United.
and they will still play
That's
United.
FA.
Okay,
That's
that's in the
FA
FA Cup. Okay,
That's
but
the FA
like I don't trust Chelsea's defense because they score and they concede all the time. So they may drop points, and in the end, it will go down to the wire. It's 3 teams; they have just 1 or 2 points separating them. But Chelsea has the advantage. You know, when you the one putting the pressure on your opponents, so you win first, and then they have to catch up. And Chelsea are in that position now, so I think they'll be fine
As long as they keep winning.
as long as they keep winning. Yeah.
That's all they need to do. It's easy. Keep winning and maintain that top spot. That's it. But then Frank Lampard wasn't really too happy with the victory because he was saying something. He said he wanted more from his team.
I think he wanted more goals.
Obviously, that's what he wanted. Okay, let's move away from that. We have some fixtures today. But then before we get to that, let's quickly talk about the financial fair play. I mean, reactions have been coming from the coaches this time around. I didn't expect Jose Mourinho's... Okay, you know what?
Hard bust.
Do I have to? Okay, you know
You don't have to
we
say
need to
anything.
listen to Jose. I mean, when you listen to him, we'll take reactions from the studio.
In relation to the decision, I think in any case is a disgraceful decision. Because if Man City is not guilty of it, I think to be punished with some million is a disgrace as a decision. If you are not guilty, you are not punished. By the other way, if they are guilty, you should be banned. So it's also a disgraceful decision. So in any case, the decision is a disaster. I'm not saying Man City is guilty. I'm saying if you are not guilty, you don't pay. You are not punished, even with a pound. I know that money for them is quite easy, but it's just a principle. Why you pay 8 or 9 million or whatever if you are not guilty? So if they are not guilty, the decision is a disgrace. If they are guilty, the decision is also a disgrace. Because if you are guilty, you should be banned from the competition. So my critique is not to Manchester City at all. I am nobody to criticize. I am nobody to know if they are guilty or if they are not guilty. My critique, of course, is for the decision power.
Okay, the UEFA ruled in February that City, had committed serious breaches of the FFP, financial fair play, and of course they also failed to cooperate with investigation and audit. So they handed them the 30 million euros fine and also the ban for 2 years. And of course, CAS overturned that decision. They've done no wrong. Now, from Jose Mourinho's reaction, what do you think?
I think Mourinho's reaction shows a slight misunderstanding of how the process works. Okay. Because he says that he's insistent that either way it's a disgrace for UEFA. And it is kind of a disgrace for UEFA. Imagine handing down this heavy fine and CAS just overturns it. And now they have to go back with their tail between their legs. It's bad for UEFA. But UEFA made mistakes, I think, because according to CAS, the decisions taken by UEFA were they couldn't significantly justify enough that City had actually breached the rules, and it was time-barred. And the issue of the time-barred is what doesn't really come up a lot in these discussions, because UEFA have to prove that within a specific time period, City broke the rules. And UEFA could not prove that.
That.
Yeah, so not being able to prove that, and they had to throw out some evidence. I think the evidence they got from from Football Leaks. Yeah, so that cannot be used because it was obtained illegally, so they had to throw that out. So I think the fault is with UEFA, and everybody is angry. Jose is really angry about this stuff because everybody feels like Man City has gotten away with it, per se.
No matter what you want to say, whether you agree with Jose or not, but you have to agree that he's witty. He said those things and he
In a
ensured that
political manner.
he's not going to get into trouble.
Yeah.
But the message is clear.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, this issue divides opinion. Some can point to the periods where Chelsea, Manchester United, some of those teams had huge revenues
Yeah.
and they were buying players and other people could not. You know,
Well, at that time, we didn't have
That's what I'm
financial
saying.
fair play.
I'm not talking of
Yeah.
rules. I'm just saying people will look at it from a moral standpoint. So it continues to divide opinion.
The moral standpoint part is funny because financial fair play doesn't really help teams climb up the ladder.
Yeah,
per
it
se.
doesn't.
It just keeps everybody where they are. So Man City might say that, for instance, like you restricting us from spending means that we will never get to the level of like Real Madrid or Barcelona. And UEFA can say that, well, if we allow you overspend, you run into debt and
You'll be better than the others.
Yeah, so you get better than the others. So there's a
big span.
It's a big span in that level. Like CAS ruling per se was that Man City did not cooperate. That was why they got the 10 million. So they didn't cooperate. So they breached an article there. But they couldn't prove anything else
Beyond that.
beyond that. And that was all.
All right. Okay.
And that's the reason Pep Guardiola is saying that, well, okay, before
Shouldn't
we
we
go to
listen to
Pep,
Klopp?
we listen to Klopp too, because Klopp
Klopp.
said when he actually heard the news, he feels that it was actually a bad victory for football.
For football.
Very
We're
interesting.
Super League.
Very interesting. Now, it begs the question, because from Klopp's angle, a lot of people are saying, look, if City can get, in their own thinking, if City can get away with it, let's just scrap FF. But Klopp is saying, well, let's just keep it. At least it gives us a bit of sanity, but it does make some who already have money a bit more powerful than the others.
Yeah, I mean, the basic idea of FFP was to avoid overspending.
Yeah.
Because these football clubs, trying to get to the next level, they
Inject
overreach.
funds.
Yeah, like you can see what happened with Bury FC. Bury is gone, basically. The same thing happened with Bolton, it's happened with Blackpool, it happened in Italy with Parma way back then. When clubs overspend their income, and before you know it, they rack up huge debts. And eventually, the debt collector will come to collect. And then before the club has gone under, it's in administration.
Food.
So that's what FFP was trying to prevent. But the issue with that is that
Okay.
clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona and Manchester United, they earn huge incomes, which means they would always be able to spend huge amounts. So you are stopping the other clubs from spending to their level because they don't earn the income that they get. Like Manchester United will say they have...
Their brands are not as attractive.
Their brands are not as attractive or as strong. Manchester United has fans from Thailand to South Africa.
China, everywhere.
Meanwhile, I don't know if there's a Brighton fan in South Africa, for instance. So
Except they sell one player to Brighton.
Except they sell one player, which they probably should. That's also marketing. But then it's like you are keeping clubs where they are. Which club says something about a Super League? I actually wrote about that before that. I think that at some point, yeah, we should have a Super League.
What was your right about? Why did you come up with that?
Because I feel like the elite clubs are so far from the rest that they cannot possibly exist in the same space.
Okay, now, okay.
Marco van Basten, just to support what you said, I think 2-3 years ago, down the line, said the Belgian League and the Dutch League should merge.
merge,
Because
yeah.
that's the only way they can compete with England, Spain.
Yeah.
And even at that time, it was that bad. And not to even
And
think of
guess
now.
what?
Does that mean, everyone was talking about Newcastle United and all that, with the Arab money that's coming from Saudi
They're
Arabia.
likely going
If,
to
if
shoot
for
up.
instance, they happen to take over the club. So it simply means the new owner cannot inject funds into the club. Is that what FFP is actually trying
Yeah, that's
to
what
prevent?
FFP is trying to prevent.
But
But they can circumvent it, which is probably what happened with City.
With City.
Yeah,
Smartly.
smartly. Like they can get the money through, in quotes, sponsorships.
Okay. they will have to be the sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
Maybe
Probably
one of
won't
their
be able to prove
franchise, for
anything.
instance, so
Exactly.
you have the...
So if Saudi Arabia
Etihad.
takes over City, because it may be Saudi Arabia Investment Fund or whatever, it's the country that is taking over the club. So if they take over Newcastle United, they can say, okay, Saudi Arabian Airways will become a Newcastle
major
sponsor.
The funds will come in
The
through.
funds will come in through Saudi Arabia Airways.
In the case of City, the funds came in through.
That
Etihad.
is what those documents say.
So, but it's going to be difficult. So it simply means the financial fair play is really for the smaller clubs.
It's being reviewed though.
Okay, I think that's what that's what we need to do.
And to think Arsene Wenger kept Arsenal fans hoping for the FFP was going to bring sanity into football, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
out
bad.
of the window. Okay.
I feel bad for Wenger.
All right. Let's also, at this point, let's listen to, before we listen to Guardiola, let's listen to someone who seems to feel that Manchester City have done no wrong. And you could understand why. Mikel Arteta, the Arsenal manager, speaking up in defense of City and saying, look, they deserve to be in the Champions League.
Well, there is no question about what happens. They completely deserve to be in Champions League because what they've done on the pitch is unquestionable. And then the regulators have looked at it and have decided that they haven't done anything wrong. So you have the two aspects that are really clear and transparent, and they're going to be in Champions League because they deserve for what they do in the pitch and what they do outside the pitch.
Well, let me allow you. I know some of the fans for the club that he represents probably don't agree with him, but some valid points he made.
Yeah, what he says, they end their place on the pitch, and that's true.
No one can question.
Yeah, you can't really fight with that. They won the league or they finished in the top four. They end their place.
Those that are angry, some have accused those that are angry of wanting to get something they didn't earn. Because if you listen to those who are angry, the Mourinho's and some of the other managers, and some probably would have benefited from this. And
Yeah.
some are accusing them of.
And the question you should ask those people who are angry now is here: if we should play some kind of devil's advocate, if it was your club,
Would you have loved them
Would
to
you
have been
have-
taken
yeah.
out?
But I think their anger is really not on Manchester City, as Mourinho clearly clarified after the whole disgraceful decision that he talked about.
Since the
I think it was
decision-making.
about the decision making, because it's like the FFP created a kind of a loophole where people can actually manipulate and get away with the so-called financial fair play. That's what they are against, really. As you said, it's being reviewed, which
Hopefully.
everyone is going to, fall.
maybe they close
maybe-
those loopholes.
Maybe they close it. That's just what they need to look for, a way whereby they can actually do it in a way that everyone will benefit from it. We mentioned Pep Guardiola earlier, saying that, well, City, the club actually deserve an apology, from everyone that's been talking about it. He also, had to criticize some other managers that have been saying that, look, that decision was a disgrace. Okay, now, it wasn't only about the club, the managers in Premier League was referring to. We also understand that criticism also came in from Spain, La Liga president.
And he took it straight. In fact, let's listen to Pep Guardiola again, reacting to some of the jibes that he's received and gave a response to those who needed to hear it. Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
Sebas is in trouble.
Wow. What can I say? I mean, he aimed his arrows very well.
It's City are creating some kind of siege mentality, like everybody against us, which I think they would use to. They may win the Champions League. if for anything, just to throw it in UEFA's face.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it at that for now, but of course we're not done with the matter. There's still a lot to talk about on this issue. But we need to go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, we'll also look at those other issues that we've talked about on the show. All right, welcome back. All right, let's go straight to what should originally have been the story for today, which is the English Premier League matches. That's what the managers should have been responding to, but of course, they had to take time out to be talking about the FFP. So let's look at what's going to happen today. Burnley up against Wolves, Manchester City up against Bournemouth, Newcastle United up against Tottenham, Arsenal up against Liverpool. Interesting fixtures. I mean, those should have been the things we were talking about.
Yeah, it's some of the fixtures are between teams that don't really have much to play for. Yeah, like I don't know what Burnley is playing for. They are safe. They are not going to get to Europe, so they are just coasting through the season. But they're always a difficult game, Burnley. They're never easy to play against. They're very organized, very compact. So
Wolves still with a high on the Europa.
Wolves need to win. Yeah, so it's basically Burnley defending and Wolves attacking. That's what's going to happen there.
Bournemouth still in trouble waters.
I think
They have
Bournemouth
something
is
to play
going
for.
to get relegated.
That's what I'm saying. They're in trouble
No
waters.
matter what, they're going to get relegated.
Yes, I think Man City will beat them rather comprehensively.
Okay, so you have
No
to.
mercy.
So which is the third team you're throwing into the relegation waters? Aston Villa.
I think Aston Villa with them. Yeah.
Yeah, Aston Villa is likely to go down.
Newcastle, Tottenham?
Newcastle,
playing for
Tottenham.
something.
Well, Tottenham are suddenly within reach of Europa League, so I think they may go for that. But the thing is, do they really want it?
Mourinho says he wants it.
Okay, if Mourinho wants it, then it's fine.
I don't know, maybe the players
Why do you think he doesn't want it?
Because sometimes it may be good to not just focus on the Premier League next
Get
season.
back to where you
Yeah.
want than allow it to be a
No,
distraction.
The Europa League can be a distraction because
Is it not going to be like a kind of a big failure? I mean, big, a very big one, BIG, a very big failure in the sense that we know that Tottenham, I mean, for the past 10 seasons or 8 seasons, they've always been in Europe.
Yes.
Now, if Jose Mourinho is coming in, a man that you're thinking is going to help the club
Step up.
move forward, compete for the Champions League again. I mean, this is a team that got to the Champions League final just last season, and now they wouldn't even qualify for the continent.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like personally I feel that sometimes you have to take a step back to
Yeah,
move forward.
go down to come up.
So like trying to still just let's make the Europa League, or let's sneak into it. Sometimes you step back a bit and then you focus on going higher. Like Europa League comes with a lot of games. Like we have seen Wolves so far this season where they have played like, I don't know, 200 matches. So that commitment, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, it wears on the players. So sometimes
Especially if you don't have a big squad.
if you don't have a big squad, which Tottenham don't have. They don't have a big squad. I think he has played really like 17 players or so. So maybe step away from that for a bit. But they should beat Newcastle. But Newcastle is not very good.
They talk to the fans and the man and
Arsenal,
the owner of the
Liverpool,
club first
I
before he can make the decision.
Arsenal,
Arsenal,
Liverpool,
Liverpool, yeah.
ideally should be a big game, but
It should be a big game, but
Arsenal
Arsenal...
have something to play for Europa.
Well,
Okay, I understand.
Liverpool
No,
has
Yemi, I
something
understand.
better to play for.
100 points.
Yeah,
That's
they're
the
trying
target.
to break that points record, and I think they will beat us.
do you think Arsenal will still be thinking, well, if these guys slip up with my cripping? Do you think so?
Well, they may be thinking that, but there's just not enough games left. I think it's just 3 games left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just...
And they-
Crypto, wait, where
No, I
are you
said
thinking?
no.
Wait, which spot? Is it the bigger? Hold on, Europe, we have
Okay, let's
the
move.
big league and the smaller league. Which of the one are you talking about?
No, I'm just
the
saying
big one.
it's a mathematical possibility, but the others will need to fail woefully anyway.
No, when once you start saying mathematical possibilities,
It's
then
impossible.
It's not really a possibility.
Can you start the calculation? I'll wait for you. Don't worry. I'll give you 5 minutes.
All right. So I think that's about
Yeah,
sums it up.
let's
So
do
let's
the
just go to the papers now.
Yeah, I'll start with Complete Sports. And Complete Sports here, you have Osimhen closes in on 81 million euros Napoli move. This has been going on for a while. He's set to sign 5-year deal by Thursday, and Gattuso ready to with Gattuso ready to accept a pay cut.
Just to allow him
Just
come.
to allow him come.
Yeah, Napoli does need attackers.
Okay.
They need attackers because they are losing. Carleon is out of contract.
Yeah.
Milik is leaving. I think he may be to Juventus. And Mertens is getting on in age, although he signed a new contract, but he's getting on. So they need new strikers. And the way they play, they need very dynamic players who move, interchange. And I think Osimhen will work really well with Mertens and Insigne. So it's a good move if they can afford it.
Okay. Ateta Gunners will attack Ozil to miss 6th straight game. Okay, what's happening about this?
Can you talk about Ozil? I mean, it's always, they did the manager, this is injured, he's a good player, but all of those, under Arteta, I don't think there's any excuse.
I think Ozil's issue may be with the club, and it's not the kind of thing that comes out until the player has left the team. Then you begin.
But how can you be comfortable taking that huge amount of money and just be comfortable not playing?
Yeah, it's the same thing happening with Gareth Bale and Real Madrid. He's not playing; he's just getting paid. So I don't know.
Gareth Bale is a different specimen.
Yeah, it's.
Okay.
When Arteta first got the job, he tried to
Yeah.
fit in Ozil, and he was like, the way I want my team to play, I can't accommodate a player like Ozil. And Ozil is a player that has to be accommodated, per se. You don't just put him on the flanks. You have to base the team around him. So, and Arteta was not willing to do that. And it was out.
Okay, Shola models Barcelona new kits for next season. Okay, that's a good one.
I don't like it.
You don't like the kits, right? You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's
can get
interesting. Okay. Our last move for review, Sporting Sun. That's what we have right in front of us. Maybe I should go to the bottom straight. Joshua Pulev fight may hold on a boat. that's an interesting angle if it happens. The story is on the back page. And this one again, Aubameyang hints of Arsenal exit. A lot of stories there, but quickly react to those two.
Oh, okay, I'll start with Pulev. The coronavirus situation is really, really hitting boxing hard, especially because a lot of boxing revenue comes from tickets, gate tickets. When you hear about how the seats cost as much as like $2,000 to get in. So when they can't get that gate revenue, they are losing millions. So the
Pay-per-view doesn't help them.
pay-per-view helps, but like it's not like in some sports, the broadcasting revenue is so much more than the ticket revenue. But in boxing, the ticket revenue is actually substantial. So it affects them. About Aubameyang, it depends on what Arsenal has for him. Because Aubameyang, I think he wants to finish his career playing in like a Champions League team. So if he sees that Arsenal is not going to get there, he will leave.
Where is he going to go to?
Well, I don't. That's a big question. Who is interested in him?
And he's not a young player, by the way.
It's not young. The candidates which you will have looked at are teams that are like lower end Champions League teams, like Napoli, for instance. The team will say, okay, they may be interested in Aubameyang, but they have already locked up their front line.
Pick their target.
At this point, I think the main reason he will stay at Arsenal is not necessarily because he wants to stay. It will be because he can't get the move he's looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, so he will just stay for the money and that.
Okay. All right. I think we still have a few seconds for some other stories. Maybe we'll just talk about Coutinho, player that was so much loved in Liverpool. Now, looks like he's going to be shipped around.
He's in limbo, and he's one of those players like James Rodriguez, like Gareth Bale, who they are not wanted by their clubs, but they have salaries that are so large that the clubs that may want them can't pay them.
Makes it very complicated.
Makes it very complicated. And Coutinho, there's no space for him at Barca. Bayern already have their team, and he's not exactly integral to it. And who can pay a player on a larger salary as Coutinho? Tottenham can't. Tottenham will have been an option. I think I heard rumors about Tottenham earlier, but it will have been an option, but they can't. This COVID thing has destroyed their finances. So Coutinho, I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Okay, before we leave the studio, let's just quickly take some tweets. We didn't take any yesterday because of time. We'll just take some. You know, this one is coming from Akila Matawa. He says, everything points, he's talking about the FFP, that's the Financial Fair Play. He says, everything points to the fact that Man City are guilty. The failure to cooperate with UEFA and their confidence at winning the appeal are clear pointers. The fine is just a cover. Okay, I agree with Jose Mourinho. And he says Arsenal are losing tonight.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Eric Ray says, Eric Ray says, overturn Man City's ban and reduce the fine, but they must still pay the fine. Jose is saying, if you're not guilty, you shouldn't pay anything. And if you're guilty, you should be punished. Either way, the CAS decision is a disgrace because the innocent still fined. And the last one, quickly, coming from David Hicks, he said, check out, okay, Olusegun Moses, so just this one, he said, good morning, what's the deal with Osimhen? Is he going to Napoli? Yes, papers are saying they're closing in on him. By Thursday, they should be able to sign. Well,
all right. That's how the cookie crumbles. Emmanuel Awanadong, I want to thank you for your time on the show today.
No problem.
Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your day. We enjoy doing this. We'll be back here again tomorrow. We're going to be back here again tomorrow. I'm Yomi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.
I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Have a great day.